these pictures do not exist in the pathology textbooks because nothing has induced this to happen except now for the first time. It's a first, the vaccines.
This Bright Light News interview with Dr. Bhardi is proudly brought to you from Vienna, Austria. Please support our independent journalism at brightlightnews.com. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the honor today of being here with Dr. Sucharit Bhardi at the Better Way Media Conference, where he spoke today, his first time internationally. Dr. Bhardi, thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome. I came to this conference, which is a first, because I felt the need to do so, since things are developing along such alarming lines by the WHO, CDC, FDA, all the authorities are now pushing for gene-based vaccines to replace all other vaccines which are currently in circulation in the world. Measles, mumps, rubella, you name it, you have it. Flu. And when we heard this, we said, oh my God, that's what we've been fearing since June, when I voiced my first concern that this is probably coming. What is being done now is that the corona vaccine is gradually coming into disfavor because people are seeing that there are serious adverse events. So what is now being done is attention is being drawn away from the vaccines themselves being the culprit to the spike protein. And they say, oh, it's because the corona vaccine encodes the spike and the spike is dangerous and blah, blah, blah. Now, that this spike protein is dangerous, no question, it's correct. But don't get off the track, people. You must realize that every gene-based vaccine is going to be dangerous, and that's why I'm here, and that's why what I explained this morning for the first time, by the way. And it's all based on the fact, this is a fact, that can be, you can read about this in the textbooks of immunology. You see, our immune system, our specific immune system, relies in the main on lymphocytes, of which we have T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes, T and B. And all lymphocytes look similar, but they are different. And the T lymphocytes have receptors, which are like locks. And these receptors recognize the keys. And the keys are the debris, are the fragments of a protein that is created by a cell. If I'm a cell and I create something that is sticking out here, then the fragments of this protein, like sawdust, appears on my shirt. What happens then is that the T lymphocyte recognizes these fragments, attaches to the fragments, and kills me, the cell. Now this happens also to proteins that I create myself, which I call self-protein. The thing is, though, that when the immune system switch is turned on in life, these killer lymphocytes that would kill me are silenced, so they don't work. They're put away. But at the same time as they came into existence in the body of the baby, lymphocytes were also born and created that had locks that recognized the keys of all non-self proteins. Measles, mumps, rubella. This is something that should be taught in school because it's so important to know that every baby is born with the lymphocytes, with the killer lymphocytes that are ready to kill a cell that is building, making foreign proteins, that is making non-self. Now, the genes that are being injected into your body if you get vaccinated are packaged such that they go into the muscle, and from the muscle they find their way to the lymph nodes and then to the blood. they cannot be stopped. So they always enter the blood. Many of them enter the blood, a large portion. And they are billions. There are so many. And they are circulating in the bloodstream. And these packages have the property that they are taken up by any cell that you want, if it contacts them. So the cells that these packages will always contact are the cells that line the vessels of your arteries and veins and capillaries. Okay? These vessels, large and small, but the longest contact, the most intimate contact, will be with the smallest vessels and the capillaries. And that's where the seeds for self-attack are planted, because when those cells start making not only spike, but anything you want, non-self, the killer lymphocytes are going to get up and destroy them. And then they turn on the B cells at the same time. The B cells start to make antibodies against that spike or measles virus or whatever. And those antibodies are going to circulate in the blood a few days after the first jab, 10 days. You want to be there. Now, what people don't realize is that these antibodies that are created because of the vaccination are not there to intercept the entry of the virus, because the virus doesn't come into the blood. It comes through the front door of the hotel. And the antibodies are simply not there. They are not there. That's why all these vaccinations against corona and also, by the way, influenza, flu, cannot work, could never have worked, will never work. The only thing they can do is they can kill you. Why?
This is a vessel, all right? One is the intact vessel wall. The vaccine comes in the bloodstream, enters the vessel wall cell. In number 3, the wall starts to make the protein. The protein is presented on the surface of the cell, and the fragments are 2, 4, and 5. 4 is the protein, 5 are the fragments. So the antibodies, after the first vaccination, everyone gets his antibodies. So when you do the booster, right? It's incredible. How can you do this? Yeah. Then you produce that thing into a bomb, which is the bloodstream, where the antibodies are just waiting with the complement system. They will attack then the T lymphocytes also join in. So the vessel wall is damaged. When the vessel wall is damaged, 2 things happen. First, the blood will clot, because that's why the blood is, the clotting system is there. And second, those vaccines are going to leak through into the organs. Now, you know, your vessel system is the wonder of nature, of God. It's closed. Even viruses can't get past that. And now these guys, Pfizer, Moderna, are ripping open the vessel system was created by nature, allowing foreign genes to enter the tissues, the brain, the heart, the liver, the lung, anything you want. And they start making the same, they go through the same process. And this, of course, starts off another self-attack, auto-attack, autoimmune process that cannot be stopped, will never be able to be stopped.
The moment the cells of the wall, vessel wall, start making the alien protein, at the first booster, already at the first booster, you will have the killer lymphocytes attacking, plus the antibodies that are swimming around, not being able to intercept the virus at the front door, but very able to recognize the antigen, the spike, or measles protein non-self that has been created and is sticking out of the wall. So you have a dual attack by the 2 major armies of the immune system. This combined attack by both T lymphocytes and antibody is unprecedented. It's not known. It doesn't exist. Now we're witnessing what happens, and it's so horrible, because when the bodies, if I'm again a cell of the vessel wall and I start making this protein, then the antibody will bind to the protein and turn on the so-called complement system. And this complement system is the sister system of the clotting system. When the clotting system is activated, the blood clots. When the complement system is activated, it shoots holes into my body. Okay. Now, it's a little bit ironic because I actually discovered the bullet of the complement system. I discovered this was my first discovery, molecular nature of the complement lesion, made 45 years ago. My God. Ah, yeah. That was a wonderful time, discovering these sort of things. But then, so I know that having antibodies against non-self swimming around and having that non-self exposed at the vessel wall is a very, very bad idea. Mm-hmm. Because if you start shooting holes in the walls of the smallest vessels of the brain, of the heart, you're going to get clots in the smallest vessels. And this is what has been discovered now by a pathologist whom we're not naming yet until these papers appear in print in scientific journals. And he found the spike protein, the non-self, on the vessel walls of the smallest vessels of the brain and heart. Brain and heart. At times of the same patient. This doesn't happen. And he saw the vasculitis and the clot formation and the inflammation around. So the case is clear. And the case is closed. There is now bulletproof evidence that the injected spikes are causing inflammation and damage to the walls of the smallest vessels in the body. And when this happens in the brain and the heart, you get irreversible defects.
Look, this is a vessel cast of the brain. Every cell needs its oxygen, and the capillaries of the brain are bringing the blood and the oxygen to those cells. You go clogging up any of those vessels, the cells that are being fed are going to die. And the brain cells will never be replaced. Gone. So depending on where this happens in the brain, anything can happen. Anything. In the front lobe, you go around killing islands of death, which are found, by the way, Ryan will tell you, in people with Alzheimer, dementia. It's the front lobe. Lots of little scars in the brain. No one knows why. But if you have a little infarct, you may sort of have a palsy, may not be able to speak, or somewhere else, no one knows, your brain stops functioning, and they will never get back to normal because the cells are dead. This is a brain of a man who died after his third vaccination. No one knew what he died of, but his brain was looked at. And what was found was that the small vessels of the brain carried the spike protein, and there was a vasculitis, and there was a leakage of the vessels. In many parts of the brain, it matched the description of multifocal necrotizing encephalitis, one of the most rare pathological presentations. I think there are only 10 cases known, all in the wake of the flu pandemic. 10 cases. This is a case where there's no flu, there's no virus, because there's no nucleocapsid. This is another section where the pathologist showed that it cannot be the virus.
The brain consumes 20% of the oxygen of the body. Mm-hmm. That's what your little brain needs, because those neurons, they are firing or they're working. This is this is human, being able to think. So you have areas in the brain that are important for thinking, for remembering, all right? But also, of course, for hearing, for seeing, everything, for movement, or for staying still. So there are areas, if you destroy those areas, you get the jerks. It's all known, you know. And there are areas that are important for your psyche. You are the person that you are. Because those brains in your body have been working for these decades and forming your personality. And if you go around destroying some of these, only God knows what's going to happen. And maybe the doctors who now are observing changes in the psyche that they've never seen before. Loss of empathy is something that I've been told is being observed. People are also losing control of their mind, of their will. Mankind is being destroyed. The essence of man is the brain. And then, of course, the heart. Okay, so you see all these top athletes dropping dead or dropping out. And I tell you, they will never come back. When you see those athletes that have, heart trouble.
Bueno, que he decidido dejar de jugar al fútbol profesional.
I've decided to stop playing professional football.
Es un momento muy duro.
It's a very difficult moment.
Pero bueno, estoy muy feliz igual por la decisión que tomé.
For the decision that I made.
Primero es mi salud.
I've taken it for my
Porque tomé esta decisión.
health. That's the main reason I've made this decision.
Por el problema que tuve
Because of the
hace un mes y pico.
problem that I had a month and a half ago.
Así que nada, estuve en buenas manos de los médicos que
I was in good
han
hands of the medical staff that have
lo mejor y me han dicho
done their best, and they've told me
que lo mejor era dejar de jugar.
that the best thing would to be stop playing.
It's because these athletes drive their hearts to the absolute limit, and as we know, every single cell is under the greatest stress and is burning up oxygen like hell. Okay? Burning, consuming. And if you start clogging up those smallest vessels, those cells are going to die. Now, you don't have many cells at once, but you have islets of cells dying here and there.
These small vessels that were spiked, okay, could be found in other organs too. And this never happens. You get vasculitis not only in the brain but also in the heart. This is the heart. And what he saw in the heart was multi-scarring. So islets of death are yellow. Imagine you're a top athlete and you get this. You will never become a top athlete again. You're going to fall down and you will never come back to what you used to be. And this is so important that we get this out to the athletes of the world and the children and all the very bad people who are propagating this. They are evil. They are really evil. They are killing mankind. So beside the islets of death, the scars, he found islets of very fresh lesions, which is here. So the red part is not healthy. There are lymphocytes there. And you see dead and dying myocytes, which are heart cells. And remember, these vessels are in your brain and in your heart, down to the capillaries. And there are very, very few cases where capillaries get clogged. Very, very seldom. What we're witnessing is that probably millions of people are getting their capillaries clogged.
And that's what the pathologist will show, has shown. You get islets of cell death in the heart, and you see scarring all over the heart in a manner that is never seen otherwise. These pictures do not exist in the pathology textbooks because nothing has induced this to happen except now for the first time. It's a first, the vaccines. And they have never been tested in preclinical testing in animal models for the potential ability to do so. So there's been no preclinical testing. They went straight to humans, and now the worldwide experiment on hundreds of millions of humans is underway, and it is to be extended and enlarged upon. Now you may know the first mRNA vaccine against the flu in combination with corona has been authorized for use. If this is not 1 minute after midnight, past midnight, I don't know what it is.
The information that you are providing to the world is so necessary because there are so many people who aren't listening to experts like yourself, governments, public health officials. In fact, not only are they not listening to you, they're rejecting it and categorically denying it and framing you as somebody who doesn't understand the science, which is just beyond the pale when we think about that. During the conference, I saw people in tears because you are somebody that's so compassionate. You have sacrificed everything to not only inform the world, but to plead to the world. To have those people who are not listening, who are in fact denigrating you, you still carry this flower of hope that there will be a conversation. Can you tell us why that is?
Well,
what drives you?
I don't think that I would say I have sacrificed everything because I never possessed very much. You see, it's very easy for us to do this because we have nothing to lose, essentially. And I have no pride, I have no conceit. I'm not doing this to gain anything at all. I'm doing this because of empathy, because I'm a human, and because I'm a doctor. You know, I was brought up as a Buddhist, and the Buddhist is taught to have compassion. There's 3 things. Be compassionate. The second thing, mudita, is something very strange to the ears of most people. Mudita means rejoice for others. And I've always rejoiced for the success of others. I think that if a good politician rises to fame and fortune, I applaud. If someone in the pharmaceutical industry invents something that is brilliant, I applaud. You know, if a scientist does something that is brilliant and leads him to fame and fortune, yes, why not? You know, sort of one of the latest Nobel Prize winners, the Japanese, Professor Honjo, he got the Nobel Prize. When he got it, we got up and said, wonderful. This man has saved so many lives with his brilliant work. And it's now making money for the pharmaceutical, but that's fine. Okay? If journalists who are really good earn good money, it's fine. So mudita is there. And I feel it every day. Okay? And I feel empathy. That's what drives me. And the last is to stay in the middle, ubeka. Don't become, you know, extreme. Don't take extremes. So that's what keeps me going, and it can't be stopped because the empathy is there. Mm-hmm. It's so simple.
It's as you said, many people don't know, and it's such a wonderment that someone who, like yourself, who is trying to save humanity, is taking such attacks on your character, on your professional knowledge and your credibility, yet you contain and maintain this humility and this drive to continue to help people. And you will always extend that to whoever is, whether it be the attacker or to anybody who might be investigating getting a booster shot, or a parent who's ready to vaccinate their young 6-month-old.
Yes, you know, I think you belong to the freedom fighters? No.
Well, you know, I'm on the side that you're on of trying to help humanity and expose the truth so that people can live.
And they're the freedom fighters in the world. Were huge. I have not come to fight. I have never been here to fight. I have never been, never stood up to accuse anyone of anything. I have risen because I want to get people together again. That's in the very first interview. It was my plea. I was asking Merkel to rethink and to sit down and discuss things in a sensible manner. And that's what I'm still saying today. And I said this morning, I'm actually calling out in the main to my colleagues, to the physicians and the medical scientists in the world, no one else, because these are the only people who must be able to understand what I said. What I said is not anything that I discovered. It's been discovered by much cleverer people than me. And it's in the textbooks. So they can't come around saying, I don't know anything. If so, they're saying that these Nobelists don't know anything. That they cannot do, because they are peanuts against those guys who'd made these discoveries. They are nobodies. Yeah. So they can't touch me because I'm not saying anything. That comes from me. I'm just telling them, look, guys, look at those papers in the literature. Look at the textbooks. And ask yourself, what's wrong with that? I'm only pointing out the fact to you that everything is there for you to look for. And now, colleague, if you haven't done this, you better go and sit down and take an hour or two off. You don't need more. Because if there's a grain of truth in what I say, then you better behave as a doctor and not say, this is nonsense, and I keep on killing people. Because then you are going to become a murderer. And a medic who murders people is the worst criminal alive.
I know one thing for you right now is something that's seen with all of the doctors and scientists and experts who are speaking out. They are struggling to maintain their livelihoods.
Yes, and there are thousands of them.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Yes.
So you can see that what I'm saying cannot be so wrong. All right?
Well, Dr. Mark Trozzi from Canada said a very powerful and true thing. He said, if your doctor is not being investigated now during COVID or is not suspended, run. Find another one.
I know. I met him last night.
Yeah.
Wonderful guy.
Yeah, he really is. But
wonderful guy.
I think people really need to understand to start supporting doctors and scientists like yourself to help you lead the charge to help humanity, because, I mean, your message is one of understanding and love for everybody. It doesn't matter which side of the debate you're on in terms of the vaccine. It's just, let's reach the highest part of ourselves to do what's best for humanity.
Yes, not only for humanity, for your own self, for your family, your beloved ones. You guys from the mainstream media, our colleagues who don't believe me, I don't want you to believe me. I want you to find out for yourself, because one day you may say, my gosh, I killed my child. You know, I know people who have done this. I know people who got their child vaccinated. The child died. A young boy. My God. And he just broke down. He said, why? How could this happen? I said, well, we know many.
This is the unfortunate thing. Dr. Bhardi, you know, around the world we're seeing a lot of countries taking the exact same measures and steps, but some countries are more intense and aggressive than others, like Australia and like in Canada. What would you say to Canadians about what's happening there?
It makes me terribly, horribly worried for you Canadians. I know Canadians, I love Canadians actually, and Australians, and what I'm seeing fills me with terror, because it is terror. Now, why are certain countries like Canada and Australia doing things that are obviously, blatantly criminal, killing their own people? This happens to certain states in America too, and others are much less, like the East European countries, Scandinavia, even Asia, Thailand. And I'm afraid that it's because I think we all know that there's a mastermind behind this. People who have planned this for decades, the whole agenda has been meticulously planned and successfully.
You said it was brilliantly planned.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant. Because it's the fear instinct that is that they really turned on. This instinct of fear virus. But the brilliant thing about this now is this fear is now translocated to humans. You've got to be afraid of your neighbor because he can give the virus to you that's going to kill you, and your parents, and your grandparents, etc., and your children even. So either you wear a mask, you obey, get down on your knees, poison yourself, because of course this CO2 that you get behind the mask also kills the brain. I mean, it's all known. At the same time, get vaccinated, because the vaccine is also killing the brain. So the mind-controlled grid is now coming. Brilliant. Fear causes people to stop thinking. On top of that, they're poisoning themselves with this CO2 and with the vaccine. My God, you couldn't get it better. Okay, so they've broken the will, and they're dehumanizing people. So the world is changing. And the more they're doing this, the more I'm afraid that it's the leaders of that country that are in on the agenda, because you can only drive the agenda forward if you have the people at the top with the gears, and the motor in their hand, the key, turning the motor on, and the puppets, the marionettes below them. So they have found the marionettes worldwide, like in Thailand, for instance. No one in Thailand knows anything about what I was telling you about. Mm-hmm. None of the politicians, none of the scientists, none of the media, of course not. They really believe it, okay? But with Canada and Australia, I'm afraid there's more behind this than meets the face, right? Yeah. And it has to be so, because that's why it's going on as it is. And you see the same thing in America. You got these two sides. The one side of the enlightened ones, the states that are not going on with it, and on the other side, the complete opposite, where they're trying to, put this agenda through. And so you can see that those states, those politicians are in on the master plan. They're in on the master. They know exactly what they are doing. So what the Canadians have is they have the leaders who know what they're doing. And these are the most dangerous people in the world.
What is the way out then?
The people. The people. Listen, it's a tiny, tiny minority of the world populace, 0.001%, no more, that is in the steering committee of the agenda. The rest, at least 99% of the world is still human. One of my friends, a doctor, told me the guys behind this are psychopaths. Psychopaths are defined as people with no empathy, and they have no empathy. They will kill their sorry, I won't say whom they would kill. Anyway, they are killing the next generation, children, destroying the hopes and the existence of people. And they don't care. This is loss of empathy. But I don't think that 95% of the world are psychopaths. Okay? I don't think that 95% of the Thais, of the Africans, I think that 99% are not psychopaths. Even if only 95% were normal, they would outnumber the psychopaths by so much that the others wouldn't have a chance. And that's what I think is our duty, to try to get people together again. Don't divide, don't fight each other. Let's get together and be human again.
Those are wonderful words and wise words as well. I mean, we know that this is just a big PR campaign where they've created, like you said, this virus, this weapon, where, before it used to be an exterior threat from another country. Missiles, some piece of hardware. Now the weaponry is within our own minds. So to unite us again through speaking with empathy and compassion for all walks and all sides of this debate again sounds like the way forward.
Yes, and my last word is a word of hope. You see, there never has been anything to be afraid of. This is a little bit lucky, because I do think that this virus was created in the Wuhan lab as a possible biological weapon, and I'm absolutely convinced that there was a true effort to put in gain of function to make the virus dangerous. But the guys who planned all of this did not know enough about immunology, you see, and so they failed. In fact, they did create a new virus. The new virus is unpleasant, but it is not the serial killer. It never was, and it never will be able to, because our immune system is simply much, much better.
Dr. Bhardi, thank you so much for everything you're doing, and we wish you all the best. And if people want to follow you or reach out to you somehow, is there a way they can do that?
Well, we don't really have a portal or website. I don't really exist anywhere.
Yeah, okay.
But somehow if you contact him or Maria, they get you to us. But not too many, please, because we can't answer,
Yeah.
We're flooded, and
Yeah.
We're struggling now at the moment to find out how to go on from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to work together, hopefully, to try and get you support. I mean, this is the way of the new world. A lot of the doctors and scientists and even media that are now emerging are struggling to exist. So we need to find ways to support each other. So we're going to try and find you those avenues
through
donations. And thank you again so much for everything you're doing, Dr. Bhardi.
Welcome. And all the best to Canada.
Thank you.